Well, as you all know, tomorrow is Kali Puja, but it is also, of course, Diwali, or what is a shortened version of Deepavali, a row of lights. And so I thought that I might try to shed some light itself on what many people consider to be a very difficult subject. That is the subject of Kali. The whole idea of Kali is very different from the normal concept of Hindu deities. Deities being multiple representations of what really cannot be described, revealed in a personalized form, in a personalized way. The idea of having so many different forms lends itself to a universality of understanding that says that so many paths, so many ways, so many truths. But Kali has come to us principally very much because of that great Paramahansa of the 19th century, Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna was a devotee of Mother Kali, but in his native village where he was born, his whole family was not necessarily fully dedicated to this form, because their family deity was clearly Rama. And then how is it that he managed to take on Kali, and what is the significance of that for the modern world today? We all know probably the story of how Ramakrishna got to be in the big metropolis of Kolkata. He was a rural person with this uniqueness that he was realized from birth. And in the Eastern system, it lends itself very much to this idea that we can be free from birth. All of us are intrinsically, potentially free already, and our difficulty is if we don't know it. That means, therefore, that our goal is freedom. But there are other synonymous terms for this. Freedom, sense of oneness, sense of unity, salvation from our sorrows, a sense of release, a sense of realization of the truth which stands always full and free and perfect, which we don't have to get. It is there already for us and has to be revealed. And the closer we get to this understanding of unity, the better in everything. Now, of course, we know from the various tantras, Mahanirvana Tantra is such a text, and translated well by Sir John Woodruff, who always wrote under the pen name Arthur Avalon. And we know that from age to age, there is some kind of degradation of moral understandings. In other words, ignorance gets darker and darker as time goes on. And we are presumably living in the age of Kali Yuga that began in 3102 BC, before the current era. And yet, we have these great, great prophets coming to us after this. So we have Buddha, we have Jesus, we have Ramakrishna. All of these we can take as significant personalities whose whole life is dedicated to the upliftment of humanity, getting them out of their sufferings, physical sufferings, as well as psychological sufferings. And most sufferings, many sufferings, arise from the psychological aberrations that we have. So the significance of Kali must be there because Paramahansa Ramakrishna emphasized this aspect, finding himself in the metropolis of Kolkata with Rani Rasmani, somebody of a lower fisherwoman caste, building a great temple to the Mother Kali because of a vision she had, and coming across the orthodox Brahmins who wouldn't participate at all in priestly duties in this temple, since there was an element of casteism. And so she very wisely put the whole temple's name in the name of Mother Kali. Now the clue about Kali is in what I have just said, Mother Kali. Even though this is a peculiar image, not dressed in silk, not dressed in saris, not dressed in glittering jewels, but very raw, because she comes with Shiva, who also stands very naked. And one epithet for Shiva would be Kala. Kala, and the dark one, and Kali, the one who is also black, also dark. And we can also see a similarity in the etymology of Kali, which means time. And we can say that time and death and destruction all go together because every moment that passes is the destruction of a previous moment. We can view it this way. I'm not being pessimistic about it. I'm being realistic about it. Because the next question is, what did we do with that time, that opportunity to uplift our spirits, to advance, as it were, toward uncovering our own divine self? And there is Kali, completely uncovered, completely naked. We first, of course, come across Kali in terms of her appearance from the Mahatmyam, or the Devi Mahatmyam. And she appears from the body of a sleeping Vishnu as the goddess Yoga Nidra. And she's there to wake him up. And why is she doing this? She's doing this in order to protect Brahma and the world from all the demons or the forces of darkness, which are there as opposites. And so when Vishnu wakes up, he starts a war against the two Asuras and so on and so forth. That's how we start off. And when the two demons that are to be defeated, they are defeated by Mahakali. She takes the form of Mahamaya to enchant the two demons. And when Madhu and Ketava were enchanted by Mahakali, Vishnu now kills them. This is the first reference we have in our mythological text. The Devi Mahatmyam is around about the 6th century of our current era, something of that nature. And of course, there are other stories, but another aspect to this, of course, Kali comes as a beam, if you will, from the Divine Mother Durga's third eye. And we have recently celebrated Durga Puja. Durga means a fortress. Now, the significance of this is that one of the great obstacles in our way will be fear. Fear and desire come together. These are the great obstacles that cover us, cover our eyes with darkness about our own true nature. And how do we get rid of fear? By understanding the unity. So during a Durga Puja, understanding Durga as a fortress with all the celestial weapons at her hands, because all the deities give all their celestial weapons to this consolidated form, this mother. But why give it to a mother? Why give it to a female form? It's because nature, as such, is the mother. And nature, unlike many other traditions, in the Eastern tradition, in the Vedanta, and all the various schools that are associated with this, such as yoga, tantra, and so on, the mother is a significant whole relative universe that we have. There is nothing else. And she comes with energy, because what is this whole universe? Science itself will tell us it is only pure energy. Potential energy is equal to the mass of matter. And when you reconcile units by using the speed of light squared, then you realize everything is resolved to the potentiality of energy. 1 gram of energy having the capability of destroying a whole city. So when we get a gram of something from a shop, we have no idea that the potential danger that sits within this gram. And so, naturally, energy, force, is the only thing that combats fear. Fearlessness is because we are protected by divine, pure energy. And this energy is only one thing. When we look at it in this way and view it in this way, all our fear goes away. And we are able, not only that, but we ourselves are able to assert ourselves, sitting, as it were, on a magnificent tiger with all the potential weapons at our hands, for our own nature is divine. When we assert this divinity, then we conquer all things. So it is not only our protection as devotees, but it is also our inner force which is able to assert itself. Now, in Kali's most famous lecture, that is the slayer of the Rakta Bija, we find Durga and her assistants, the Matrikas, they wound the demon Rakta Bija in various ways. They do it with a variety of weapons. They do it in an attempt to destroy him. And they soon find that they've worsened the situation, because with every drop of blood that is dripped from the Rakta Bija, he produces a duplicate of himself. And so the battlefield becomes increasingly filled with all his duplicates. And then Durga has to summon Kali to combat all these demons. It's described in this way, that out of the surface of Durga's forehead, fierce with frown, issues suddenly Kali, who is of terrible countenance, armed with a sword and a noose, bearing the strange skull-topped staff that she holds, and decorated with a garland of skulls, clad in a tiger's skin, very appalling owing to her emaciated flesh, with gaping mouth and fearful with her tongue lolling out. And she has deep reddish eyes, and she fills the regions of the sky with her roars, falling upon impetuously falling upon and slaughtering the great astras in that army. And she devours these hordes of the enemies of the devas, and she catches the blood of the Rakta Bija before it even can fall on the ground, stopping him from creating any more duplicates. Now, of course, all of these stories will have great meaning. Our greatest difficulty is, as I mentioned before, all these desires, all these passions, which is an assumption that I have a horror within me that can be filled from the outside. Repetition of this is what we call desires. And it keeps us engaged in this world because we're never satisfied. In other words, we are creating duplicates upon duplicates upon duplicates of these desires. And it is only our Divine Mother that is able to lick them up and deal with them. But look at the form. This is why the subject of Kali has become, or has seemed to be, by many people, a difficult subject, because all the colonials in the British Raj in India took this form of Mother Kali and registered it as a primitive idolatry form, which was typical of a conquered race. In other words, asserting the superiority of the conqueror, because they didn't understand What didn't they understand? They didn't understand that in benign aspect, as we find it, for example, at Dakshinaswaya, where Ramakrishna worshipped her, and in the form that we have just described, this is the entire universe. Don't think that there is no destruction in the universe. Don't think that there is no death. Don't think that everything is bright and rosy all the time. The realistic way in which the universe works is a kind of combination, a kind of push and pull of positive and negative forces. And studying the whole history of mythology, even back into the Vedas, this battle between Indra and his nemesis is going on all the time. In cosmology, we see it also, that there is a force called gravity, which is pulling inwards at about 500 atom bombs per pound. And there is a force pulling outwards, winding itself outwards, called electrical energy. And this is wound out at about 500 atom bombs per pound. And this is how the universe operates. It operates by balancing pairs of opposites, whichever way you look at it, whether it's on the cosmological level or the atomic level, whether it is on the domestic level, whether it is on the psychological level. There's always this dichotomy. And the opposite of desire is fear. And we have nothing to fear from Mother Kali, because she is truly our mother, the mother who protects her devotees. But from what does she protect us? She protects us from fear itself. The skin is dark. Kali is dark. When Sri Ramakrishna once asked a devotee why one would prefer to worship Mother over him, the devotee rhetorically replied, Maharaj, when they are in trouble, your devotees come running to you, but where do you run when you are in trouble? He runs to Kali. It's interesting how he discovers Kali. He's appointed a priest at the temple of Mother Kali, waving lights, offering flowers, gets so engrossed in it, so passionate in it, that sometimes he's offering lights the whole day. Sometimes he's offering flowers the whole day. Sometimes he's pausing. Sometimes he's stunned into inactivity. This peculiar person, deemed to be mad, but his one desire was, may I see this form of Kali, not just the stone image. And in desperation, as we all know, he eventually gets his vision. And it is not a form, either in emaciation or in glory, not with benign face, with the shy tongue of a village girl hanging out. None of these things. He describes it as an ocean of light, billowing waves of light coming to me from all sides. And this is Mother Kali. Why Mother Kali? Why Mother at all? Ramakrishna understood that in this day and age, in this Kali Yuga, we require the love of a mother, the love that only mother and a motherly love can supply. Mother's love being the highest love that we can ever think of. And so it is in this period of time, really, in India, that much of the autumn is dedicated to the worship of Goddess and Mother. But of course, it is also dedicated to the story we have just left behind us on Saturday mornings, the story of Rama, and the celebration of victory. But you see, it's the same theme, victory of light over darkness. Our peace prayer really should have been that, Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyoti gamaya, mrityo amritam gamaya. Such a beautiful, well rehearsed and well repeated peace prayer, simple and universal, lead us from this unreal to the real. But what is the unreal? The unreal is this display of the Mother Kali. Lead us from this to the real. Now in Tantric language we can say, Shakti, lead us through Shakti to be united with Shiva. Kali's most common four-armed iconographic image will show each hand carrying variously a crescent-shaped sword or a giant sickle sometimes, or a trident in another head, a severed head, a bowl, a skull cap, collecting the blood of the severed head. That's a form, of course, called Bhima Kali. But two of these hands, usually the left one, holding a sword and a severed head, and the sword signifies divine knowledge. The human head signifies human ego, which must be slain by all of us by divine knowledge in order to attain freedom, moksha. And the other two hands, usually the right, are in the abhaya, fearlessness. We have nothing to fear. We are always protected. And also Varada, blessing, mudras. And these mean to her initiated devotees or anyone worshipping her with a true heart that they will be saved as she will guide them here and in the hereafter. That's the form of Dakshina Kali. So you can understand how people view this, not understanding the significance of her form, because she wears a garland of human heads, about 108. 108 is the auspicious number because it's a multiple of 9. And of course, it's the countable beads which are there on a japamala. And or also 51, which represents Varnamala, or the garland of letters on the Sanskrit alphabet, the Devanagari alphabet. Hindus believe that the Sanskrit is a language of dynamism, a language of actual energy. In other words, the whole universe is comprised of this language. And each of these letters represents a form of energy or form of Kali. Therefore, she is generally seen as the mother of language and also all mantras. Often depicted, of course, naked. That symbolizes her being beyond the covering of Maya, since she is pure nirguna without any qualities, being consciousness, bliss, and far above Prakriti or nature. She is shown as very dark because she is Brahman. She is the Supreme Absolute in its supreme unmanifest state. She has no permanent qualities. She will continue to exist even when the universe ends. This is why Ramakrishna had this vision. And it's therefore, of course, believed that the concepts of color and light and good and bad, they don't apply to her at all. And so we can see how severely she has been misunderstood. Mahakali, she is the goddess of time and death, because they are the same thing, depicted with the black complexion, 10 heads, arms and legs, and so on and so forth. Now, how to understand this? We also see that Dakshina Kali with Shiva is there. Shiva is devotedly at her foot because Shiva is representing the Absolute. And in this aspect, she is represented as the divine energy coming from his body. She has her right foot on his chest, and that depicts even more the fearsome aspect, which is Vamakali, is also usually worshipped by the householders. Now, of course, there's corresponding mythology that goes along with all of this. But the most beautiful description of Kali will be found in Sister Nivedita's description. She writes a letter. She writes the story of Kali, and it is worth reading and commentating on. Well, it was written for baby Leggett uh, at Bali, Kolkata on Christmas, 1898. She writes like this. And of course, she's writing to all of us because if we are really to understand the Divine Mother, we have to put ourselves in the role of her children. So the whole thing is addressed to us. Baby darling, what is the very first thing you remember? She asks. Is it not lying on the mother's lap and looking up into her eyes and laughing? Did you ever play hide and seek with mother? Mother's eyes shut, and baby was not. She opened them, and there was baby. The most remarkable thing about babies is that for hours and hours on end, they delight in this play of hide and seek. Because as soon as you close your eyes and peep open, it's somehow an unusual revelation for the child. She opened them and there was baby. Then baby's eyes shut. And where was mother? But then they opened again. And oh, when mother's eyes were shut, where was she? She was there all the time. And so Sister Nivadi describes Kali, gives us a definition. Kali is our mother when her eyes are shut. And what is our prayer? Oh, mother, please remove your hands from your eyes. Let us see your eyes. So when mother's eyes were shut, where was she? She was there all the time, but you couldn't see her eyes, yet she was there. Baby, some people think God is just like that. A great, great mother, so great that all this big world is her baby. We are forced to comment. What is this whole universe? That gives us so much trouble, and that occupies an investigative team throughout the whole world and for centuries on end called scientists. It is just the mother's baby. God is playing with her world. That is her baby. And she shuts her eyes. Then all our lives long, baby darling, we try to catch the great mother peeping. And if any of us can do that, if any of us can look into the eyes of that mother God just once, just for a minute, do you know what happens? She asks. That person at once knows all secrets, and he becomes strong and wise and loving, and he never, never forgets that moment. And when you win like that, when you catch the mother looking, something else happens, something lovely. All her other children come and play with you. When you realize the divinity of the mother in and through and as the whole universe, her baby, then all her children come and play. You take this world as a playground, and it doesn't matter what form all these aspects of the universe look like. It can be different people, and we cannot judge, therefore, whether a person is good or bad. We cannot say, oh, this energy is like this and this energy is like that. It is the whole thing is the Divine Mother. Learn to look at it in this way, and all our fears will go. The little birds come, she continues, and the wee lambs love you, and the wild rabbits touch your feet, and the poor children in the streets who are cold and hungry. Perhaps poor children that the Great Mother loves most of all, because they seem to have no father or mother, and perhaps no home. Poor children trust you and make a place for you with them. When you see the mother and the mother's eyes open, even for just a minute, then you become a seer of the universe, and these poor will come and take refuge in you. See the conversation that was there with Ramakrishna? See, why do I come to you? Because I know who you go to. You go to the Mother Kali. I cannot approach the mother, says the devotee, but you can. And so We are all sitting on the mother's lap, she continues. But these sit closest of all to her breast. Which ones? The ones who are poor, the ones who are psychologically suffering, those who have no nourishment, those who are refugees in this world, and there are millions of them today. And what do we call the mother with her eyes shut? Here she gives the definition. We call her Kali. That's why she is dark. We cannot see. Were you ever, she asked, for a few minutes unhappy? And did mother or nurse or auntie or someone else come and pick you up and love you and kiss you till you were not unhappy anymore? You see, she explains, sometimes the mother God is like that too. Now in the text she says God, but I'm inserting mother. We get so frightened because those eyes will not open. We want to stop the game. We don't like it. We feel alone and far away and lost. And then we cry out. It has grown quite dark, and still the mother's eyes are shut. Let us play no longer, so we feel sometimes. But the eyes are not shut really. We think so because it is dark all round. Just at that moment, when you cried out, the beautiful eyes of the mother opened and looked at her child like two deep wells of love. And you, if you had seen, would have stopped playing all at once and saying, Kali, Kali. You would have hidden your little face on the mother's shoulder and listened to the beating of her heart instead. And so she is writing to baby Leggett. We continue. And so we one, will you remember that the great Mother Kali is everywhere, even when she seems to be far away. It's only that you cannot see her eyes. This mother goes away, and you cannot see her, but Kali is always there, always loving, always ready to play with her child. And will you sometimes remember to stop playing just for a minute and to fold your little hands and say, Dear Mother Kali, let me see your eyes. Dear Mother Kali, I repeat, let me see your eyes. There is another game of hide and seek that the Great Mother plays, and this is more like a fairy story. She hides sometimes in other people. She hides in anything. Any day you might see her eyes just looking into mothers, or playing with a kitten, or picking up a bird that had fallen from its nest. Under all these forms you may find this Mother God playing at hide and seek. And when there is something to do for someone, Kali is calling us to play. We have that play. She herself said once, she was hiding in someone, and he said it for her. Inasmuch as you did it unto one of the least of these, my little ones, you did it unto me. She's quoting, of course, from Jesus. Is not that like a fairy story? And what funny places she, the Great Mother, can hide in. Another time she said, lift the stone, and thou shalt find me. Cleave the wood, and there am I. Did you ever lift a stone or break a piece of wood to see what was inside? Did you ever think that was God at the heart of things? How beautifully Kali plays. You might find her anywhere. And indeed, you'll find her everywhere, is what I add. Does mother love baby when she's hiding from her? Why, of course. Else why should she hide? Even when her eyes are shut, is mother loving baby? Why, yes. See how she is laughing all the time. And so with Kali, we need never be frightened. Though her eyes are long shut, she is laughing all the time. In her own good time, Mother God will stop playing, and we shall look into her eyes and get away and away behind the world, straight to the other end of nowhere, all at once. So let us always run to play when we are called. Remember, little one, even any need, anything you can give, your mother is calling you to find her. If anyone asks for something you can do, well, it's really mother saying, peep, child, peep, little child. Or when a new person comes for you to love, Mother Kali is saying, here am I. There's something else, she writes. You love mother and father and auntie and nurse, and of course you do. Besides, they love you and they're also good and kind. But far, far away, mother has a brother, a big brother. Now, Baby Leggett has a brother called Hole, she says, just like Hole. Do you love him too? Why, you never saw him, he never played with you, because of course Hole is not yet born. No, but mother loves him, and you love all the people mother loves, don't you, dearie? And so we love all the people that Kali loves, all the children she plays with, and the lambs and the flowers and the great trees and the little fish. She loves all these, and she loves too the stars in the sky, and so do we. For we are her children, and everything that she loves, we love too, because she is the mother, and we cannot help it. Sharada Devi once said, always know that you have a mother. And why is she saying that? For this very reason. The minute we forget it, our suffering begins, our criticism holds sway, jealousy holds sway, resentment holds sway, all these negative things hold sway. But as soon as we become a small child and see this mother as the whole universe, and we register, who does this mother love? This mother loves the whole of her creation, for her creation is herself. There is no other second. We don't have a system that there is a remote creator and a creation separate. None of this we have. We understand that wherever we look, whatever we hear, that mother is there. One without a second. And we have to remind ourselves constantly of this. Whenever a person is in front, the fact that their eyes shine, regardless of what comes from their mouth, regardless of whether they think good thoughts or not, regardless of any energy that we may think that we pick up, we have to register to the divine account instead. This is the progression. The Mahanirvana Tantra registers, of course, it's a conversation between Shiva and his Shakti. Kali is one form of his Shakti. That is, everything is raw, everything is nature, but everything is good because everything is loved and everything is love. And it is the mother's playground. Why do we take it so seriously? Why do we not assert our blessing? Why don't we pray for the mother's eyes to open? And having opened, then why don't we then become, even for a moment, even in a moment of meditation, even a moment of realization when we see all the things the Sister Nivedita has described in beautiful language that a child will understand, of lambs and flowers and birds and sky and so on. But we can also see it in every aspect of this, what we call this universe. This universe is Mother Kali. When we look into the night sky, we will only see black. This vast void, this vast expanse, with the occasionally twinkling stars, is the very body of this Mother Kali. Now, of course, we cannot ignore as well the fact that for most of the Hindus and worldwide, we have also Deepavali. Diwali is now become a universal celebration. This universal celebration very clearly and very simply says, when you light a lamp, when you light a candle, when you display fireworks, then you are making a contrast between joy and sadness. What is the greatest joy that we have? The same discovery that we've been talking about. And it enlightens ourselves. And lightens ourselves. We feel lighter, we feel more joyful, we feel more blissful. Isn't it better to approach the world in that way? rather than in a judging, critical way, bringing in all the things from the past. When we bring things from the past, when we bring things into the future, we are missing this moment where the mother's eyes can open for us. Well, that's all I really have to say on the subject, except to wish you a very joyful and happy Kali Puja and a very happy and joyful Diwali. May you celebrate well, and may it be an indication of a shift, because it is also the beginning of the Indian New Year. And may it be a shift in your understanding, so that you may go from the relative unreality to the reality, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji, and happy Diwali to you.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji.